Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Vardhman Textiles Limited 3Q FY22 post-result conference call hosted by Batlivala and Karani Securities India Private Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Prerna Jhunjhunwala from Batlivala and Karani Securities India Private Limited. Thank you and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Faizan. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of BNK Securities, I would like to welcome you all for 3Q FY22 post-result conference call of Vardhman Textiles Limited. Today we have with us the senior management of the company, including Mr. Neeraj Jain, Joint Managing Director, Mr. Sushil Jham, Director Raw Materials, Mr. Mukesh Bansal, Senior Vice President Fabric Marketing, and Mr. Akshay Jain, Head of Finance. I would now like to hand over the call to the management for initial comments. Thank you and over to you.
Hello and welcome to our investors and all other market participants. Welcome to the call. Just to give you some highlights on the numbers, we did about 2,700 crores of top line in this quarter, which is about a 13% jump from previous quarter same year and about a 50% jump from the same quarter last year. We have an EBITDA of 800 plus crores, which is 15% higher sequentially and about 170% higher as compared to same quarter last year. The performance has obviously been driven by a multitude of factors, which includes rising yarn prices and rising raw material prices, which due to the demand scenario that is played out and which we will talk to in greater detail, have allowed us to pass on a considerable chunk of the raw material price increases to our customers. The numbers have already been published, so I will now hand over to Mr. Neeraj Jain for the detailed breakdown.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So this has been a very different quarter compared to the previous period where the raw material prices started increasing as the new season started against the feeling of most of the market that there is a new arrival coming in both in US and India, the prices may come down, which was actually increasing before that. But contrary to that, the international prices were almost like 85, 87, 88 cents before when the quarter started. Has gone up to 120.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. This is the operator. The audio is not clear from your line, sir. Request you to please come closer to the mic.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. So this was a quarter where the New York future from almost 85, 87 cents went to almost as high as 122, 124 cents and so on. The Indian cotton prices, which started almost at 52, 53,000 rupees a candy, most part of the quarter was in the range of almost 65, 67, 68,000 rupees a candy, which further increased as of now to almost 74, 75,000 rupees a candy. The yarn prices in tandem with the increase in raw material prices, both international and domestic, also increased. And the earlier level of $4.10 increased to, in this period, increased to almost $4.50, 60 cents, and then further increased to $4.70 or $4.80 as of now. And the domestic prices also increased in the same fashion. For Vardhman, we were covered part of the cotton. Part of the quarter from the earlier cotton which we bought last year at a much lower cost of 42,000 to 43,000 rupees, but at the same time we started buying in this period at a much significantly higher prices, which were prevailing prices at that time. And since the yarn prices also increased, I think there was not really much of a difference on the margins, and the same margins continue to be good in this period. The fabric business also improved significantly in this period in terms of the utilization, because earlier period there were the COVID waves and those kind of things. This was the first quarter after a long period of time where we could utilize almost 100% of our capacity. And though the margins still were under pressure because there's always be a time lag between the spinning the prices increase or decrease, which can be passed on by the fabric team. But at the same time, at least the silver part was, the silver lining was we could utilize the full capacities in this period, and as a result, the top line and the performance also was better in our fabric division. The prices still continues to be very high both internationally, though there are issues and concerns people are talking of in terms of the cotton crop in India. There are issues and concerns in terms of the the supply chain management issues as of now, especially from the or even sometimes from the USA. Those things continues to be there even today also. Having said that, I think the Indian crop, as per our estimates or as per the industry estimates, are likely to be in the range of about 34 million bales. And the consumption may also be in the range of about 33.5 million bales. So which means in terms of the overall production and consumption numbers are matching. And whatever exports happen, maybe about 3 million bales, which are estimated to be exported during the year, and 1 million bale could be imported. So the net 2 million bales we will be reducing, or we can reduce from our opening stock of almost 7.5 million bales or so. The supply chain issues continues to be there both for cotton and for yarn. So in between things have started improving, but with the last wave of or the fears of the COVID wave, probably again there was challenge in terms of availability of container or the shipping or the number of ships available. And I think the supply chain continues to be tight even now also. So of course, with the since this wave is not really affecting much to the people, there could be a possibility in our view that these things may get smoothened in the next 2 to 3 months' time. So in this period, in addition to the last expansions which were announced in the last board meeting, so we have announced a new project with a 40 vortex machine, maybe costing around close to about 600 crore rupees. But since the delivery of all machines are a big challenge as of now, so I expect it can be commissioned fully only in 2024. We are in a position to start it as the deliveries, most of the vendors are booked on the deliveries and they are not quoting on that. So we hope that once the supply chain, because it's more of an issue of the supply chain with the vendors also, I hope as the things normalize, we should be in a position to finalize the machinery, and by 24, this project could be fully commissioned. So this is what in brief on our numbers. On the business scenario, I think we can open it for the question answers, and the remaining queries or debate or discussion can be done along with the questions. Thank you.
This is the operator. So should we start the flow for Q&A?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Apurva Sharma from PGIM India. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Good for giving me the opportunity. Sir, wanted to understand uh, any color on CapEx plans for the fabric capacity?
There is no immediate decision on that. So of course, as we are utilizing the full capacity, I think we want to sustain it for more period of time. And also we are looking at some debottlenecking to happen, which may, in terms of capex, may not be substantial. But I think wherever we are getting a challenge in terms of delivery of any particular product, we are doing that debottlenecking. So as of now, we haven't decided anything on giving any new capex plans as of now, as far as fabric is concerned.
Okay. And also, sir, also on the current, at the current level of, cotton yarn spread, what would be the margins that the industry would be making as a whole, as in, your sense on the same?
So, in my view, as of now, the spread will be in the range of maybe about $1.15 or so. That's what the range would be as of now, going by the today's prices.
So any translation into, say, what kind of margins can we expect as a whole for the industry, spinning in?
It would be because the prices have increased in a big way, so it could range maybe in the range of maybe 13-14% at best.
13-14%. Okay. And sir, one last question on the spindle capacity. We have guided. So where are we on the current, spindle in terms of commissioning and future commissioning? So if you could just throw some color on that.
Yeah. So the earlier two projects, which were equivalent to about 100,000 spindles,
yes,
I think those would be starting somewhere maybe April. May the commercial production will start for both of them, and both are likely to be commissioned by September, October 2022.
Okay. So
and after that, the expansions which were announced, 165,000 spindles, which were announced at the last board meeting. There is we haven't finalized any orders of that as of now, because most of the machinery suppliers are not in a position to quote the delivery and the prices as of now. So I think that can be done only once we are in a position to finalize it.
Okay, so September 22 is for the 100,000 spindles, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Akshay sir, there is a disturbance coming from your line, so please check. We'll take the next question from the line of Kirti Jain from Canara HSBC Life. Please go ahead.
Sir, in your previous question to Akshay, you had highlighted that the spreads will come down and margins will come down. What are the reasons, sir, why the margins will come down to 13-14% levels in the coming quarter?
No, the margins haven't come down. The margins are same. Since the prices are increasing, as a percentage, the margins are coming down.
Okay.
Yeah. So as baseline has increased, that's why these margins are dropping down as of now. Otherwise, on absolute numbers, 120, 125 cents spread is still available, so absolute may not come down.
Okay.
So 13-14% were in general for the spinning industry and not for our company.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. The audio is not coming clear from your line. Please use the handset mode.
Is this better?
Yes, sir.
What I'm saying is the margins quoted, the numbers 13-14% that were quoted were for the spinning industry in general and not for Vardhman Textiles per se.
Okay. Sure, sir. So what would be we should expect, sir, for our company?
Sir, we typically between the 18 to 22% number, and we hope that in the coming future also we will be sticking perhaps to the higher end of this range, but we will endeavor to stick to the range on a full year basis.
Correct, sir. So broadly, this kind of absolute EBITDA of 6 billion plus should be maintainable, right, sir? At least in the coming sometime, at least for a year.
Very difficult, because for a year I can't commit depending upon what the cotton prices, what the yarn prices would be. But yes, as of now it is being maintained.
Sure, sir. Sir, any reason why we are not allocating capital in the fabric, sir?
No, it's the first time we have started utilizing the full capacity, so we want to consolidate there for a year before we want to take a fresh decision on the CapEx. Ultimately, if the business is good, we are in a position to sell, we'll definitely expand that business as well. But I think it's the first time we have utilized the full capacity, so we want to wait for some more time.
Sure, sir. Sir, given the cash accruals are much stronger than what we would have thought a year back or 2 years back, will we look for further more CapEx, sir, or what is the thought behind it? How much we want to leverage, or what is the thought you are thinking on, sir?
If you look at, we have always been a very conservative company and we have always expanded slowly. But going by the cash flows and the opportunities in our view, which looks like there, that's why we have taken such a big expansion mode. So we are talking of a total 100,000 spindles coming now, which is almost like 800 crores or so. And then 165,000, which was announced 1,400 crores. And then these 40 vortex machines, which is another 600 crores. Plus all the normal capex and debottlenecking. So it's already, I think, the capex plan is in the range of 3,000 plus crores for next 3 years.
Correct, sir. But our cash flows will be more than that, no, sir. 5,000 crores cash flow will be there, right, sir? 3 years.
But we will like to go step by step, and
sure,
as
sir.
opportunity continues to there, we'll relook at that. But this is what, as of now, has been undertaken.
Sure, sir. Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Sir, we'll reconnect your line as there is a disturbance coming from your line. A request to all the participants to please stay connected while we reconnect the line for the management. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently waiting. The line for the management is reconnected. We'll take the next question from the line of Neeraj Mansinka from White Pine Investment Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for giving the opportunity for the call. Just two things. One, so on the margins, can you speak something about the industry where while Bangladesh has not been buying much cotton from China and yarn more from India, and how is the demand supply situation according to you in the international trade, and which countries, and is there really a higher cost of yarn that Bangladesh is getting vis-a-vis some time back because it might be preferring an import from India? So some thoughts on that side.
So the demand continues to be good, especially Bangladesh, because they have been exporting a lot in terms of the garmenting. So there's a lot of demand for yarn from Bangladesh and the other countries as well. As far as the demand is concerned, there is no issue, no concern. Yes, Bangladesh's prices are higher than the Indian prices because indirectly they get some subsidy also if they have the yarn plus material made in Bangladesh. So that's why their prices generally would be 40 to 50 cents higher than the Indian prices. So that's been the history, and even today also that gap is maintained.
But is the cost to them increased because they might be buying more cotton fabrics from India compared to in the past that they might be buying from China?
Not really, because at the same time, if they buy the local yarn, they get a subsidy from the government on the FOB value of garment if they buy the local yarn or a local fabric. So to that extent, they are not having any disadvantage.
Okay. And what is in terms of your sales of yarn and fabric, can you share some color on where the demand growth is coming from? Whatever the growth is coming from, what type of customers are generally buying that mostly?
So most of the increased demand is coming from the direct brands itself. So they want to tie up both on the yarn and the fabric side, so there's more demand coming. And in terms of the various countries, I think Bangladesh, from India's perspective, Bangladesh would be the biggest customer for yarn as of now.
In fabric, sir, in terms of demand for fabric?
Fabrics also the same situation.
Okay. The last question on the cotton side situation, the prices were there was less arrivals in the early arrival season, and later on the prices have moved up. So how do you see the demand supply equation, and considering that the amount of net exports that India does has also gone down? So any color on that? Like will this put pressure on you to bring down cotton at a higher prices, and how see the industry people competitors cost of acquiring cotton? Some color on that.
So I've already shared the production and supply numbers in India will be almost matching, close to about 34 million bales.
Right.
And since the export will be less and imports will be there, so the net export could be in the range of about 2.5 million bales, which will go out of the opening stock.
Right.
So
don't you see this would be first the pressure in the yarn margins would be there because the matching of the exports versus the quantum of net exports is very low. So don't you think that would have any pressure on the yarn margin?
Sorry, I couldn't follow your question.
I think the question is the other way. Do you think that India's cotton discount, which is there vis-a-vis the landed price of cotton of US cotton, that will shrink?
Yeah, so definitely with the import duty we have in India, the discount which was generally available on the Indian cotton has come down as of now. So our cotton is becoming more expensive because the import cannot be done openly. So that's why the prices have gone up for the Indian cotton prices.
Okay. So do you see the import duty changes which may come in say budget or in future will have a slowdown in the way that you are buying cotton from the market today? Do you think it will have an impact on that?
If the import duty comes down, I think the only difference would be whatever parity India used to have with USA, that will be restored. As of now,
Right.
Indian prices gone higher than the increase in the international prices. So that is where the concern for the spinners are. But once the duty is not there, the normal equation will prevail because then people will have the opportunity to buy from outside in case the Indian prices goes beyond a particular price.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Surbi Saraugi from Smith's Capital Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, sir. Sir, my question is that with regard to the increasing cotton prices, so I just wanted to know if you have taken any price hike in the current quarter in response to the increasing cotton prices, and if yes, then how much?
Yeah, price hikes are happening. So as I mentioned, since the prices are increasing, we are also trying to pass on the same to the customer.
Okay. And sir, are there any plans of further price hike?
No, it's not a question. We don't have a monopoly. I think the price hike can happen. Every spinner will try in the entire world. So depending upon the cost push and the demand, everyone is trying to do that. But whether we can get or not is depend upon all the demand supply situation.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry? Yeah.
The next question is from the line of Abhishek Kumar Jhunjhunwala from M Capital Services. Please go ahead. Abhishek Kumar Jhunjhunwala, your line is in talk mode. Please go ahead with your question. Abhishek Kumar Jhunjhunwala, please unmute your line from your side if muted.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Hello, am I audible?
sir, your audio is not clear. Please use the handset mode.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like in the EPS, the consolidated EPS is much lower than the standalone EPS. What is the reason for the same?
So there has been a dividend which we have received from our subsidiary companies. In the consolidation, the dividend is not there. That gets negated.
Okay. And secondly, I wanted to understand, like, due to high cotton prices, what is the forward inventory policy that the company is looking forward to?
We haven't decided as of now whether we will, but surely these prices are very high. We might not cover the full season, it looks like as of now, but I think we are looking at it on a very careful basis, and we'll decide 1 to 2 months how should we go on this, because prices are one of the highest, and if we hold the inventory for next 9 months, it could definitely be a big concern as well. So we are looking at it very, very carefully, and I think it's only next 2 months, depending upon the arrival and import duties or the other data, we'll have to take a view on that.
And will hedging help in this particular scenario of high prices and hedging on international cotton exchanges?
We have done it partially to cover the risk, but at the same time, some risk has been taken on our books also. So in definite case we have to cover it, we might look at hedging it as well.
And second, one more thing, sir, like the government of India has bought in the PLI scheme. So is Vardhman going to benefit or take any advantage of the PLI scheme?
That's 100% polyester based or the man-made based fibers. So as of now, we have no plans to go in for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Smita Navani from Citibank. Please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Ma'am, the audio is low from your line. Please increase the volume of your device.
Hello, am I audible? No.
Yes.
Sir, I would like to know if outlook on the cotton.
Ms. Smita Navani, your audio is not clear now, ma'am. Please check your line.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. So, sir, my question is that what is your outlook on cotton prices for next in India?
It's very difficult for Indian prices to be predicted because it all depends upon how the New York future will remain. So that's anyone's guess whether this will sustain or will increase or will come down. The Indian prices are generally determined by the international prices, whether because what prices the export can happen or import can happen. So by and large, the national prices are determined or aligned to the international markets. And taking a view on New York future, whether they'll go down or will go up, it's anyone's guess.
Okay. So what do you think is an impact of third wave on the...
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. The audio is not clear from your line. Please use the handset mode.
It's audible now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. And sir, what do you think is the impact of the third on the overall textile?
So there is no direct impact as such, though there are some of the markets in India which are where there's a night curfew or some activities less. But by and large, on the business side, at least the buying has been a little slow down in India. but not really a very significant difference because everyone is adequately sold in India. So I think, and since the impact or the fatality rate is much less, to me it looks like it's not going to really have a huge issue even for the Indian market. International, in any case, it has no impact.
Okay. Do you see your cotton goods?
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Request you to please reconnect. The audio is not clear from your line.
Sir, do you see any cotton imports?
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. The audio is breaking from your line. Request you to please reconnect. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Sheth from Quest Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have only one question. Since our power cost is very high, what are the measures are we taking to reduce power cost? Some kind of, our own power generating or any, if you can give some color.
So we already have our own power units which are almost to the range of about 50 megawatts. This is a thermal-based coal, but in any case, since the cost of coal has increased in a big way, so we have stopped one of our power plant as of now, and the other one also is utilizing at a lower capacity, and we have started drawing it from the electricity board, which is making more sense commercially as of now. And in addition to that, we have gone for a small capacity of maybe 15-20 megawatts as of now for the solar also, and we're looking at those options as well. But our own plant, there are no plans to go for a further expansion of our own captive plants.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Krishna Kumar from Linear Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, sir. Sir, in your press release, there is a clear increase in terms of process fabric production and sales vis-a-vis the second quarter, from 36 million to 44 million. So any reason for that? Is it because of some capacity stabilizing or for a demand kind of situation?
So sorry, what is your question?
In terms of grey fabric to process fabric conversion and sales, if you compare second quarter to third quarter, there's been a substantial increase in process fabric production and sales. So is there any strategic shift, or is it just that any process stabilized?
The process capacity was being underutilized because there was no demand. And as I mentioned, during this period, since the offices were opening and things were becoming better, so we started utilizing a better capacity utilization on the processing side. And grey is basically we want to sell grey only if the processing demand is not there. So if we are in a position to utilize the process, that's the first opportunity or the first choice we have. So that's what has happened in this quarter.
Okay. So do you don't disclose split of margins in the fabric and spinning, but is it right to understand that the industry is going through lower spreads on the fabric side vis-a-vis the spinning side?
That's
understanding?
Yeah, that is true.
And is it improving as a trend now, or are we still in a similar situation?
No, it is definitely improving because it's more related with the capacity utilizations also. As your capacity utilization improves, definitely your costs come down. So to that extent, it's improving. But otherwise, if we think the margins are improving on a similar basis or on a same volume basis, it may not be doing. But as we are utilizing more and more full capacity utilization, the costs are coming down. So that's how the margins are improving.
Sure. Sir, and as a management, sir, when you look at return ratios and payback, is it good to add more spinning or fabric capacity, sir, in the current cycle? What is your rating?
If you look at the immediate situation, spinning may make more sense. But definitely, because as of now, the spinning margins are too good because of the demand-supply situation. But I think definitely if the fabric capacity is expanded at some stage, it will, for the company's margin, it will definitely be better for in the medium term. Yes, immediately spinning is making more sense. That's why we are allocating more capacity, more capital to the spinning as of now.
Okay. And in terms of export benefits, the e-strips that you sell, there has been a weakening trend that you mentioned in the third quarter. How is the market now, and is there an improvement in the value of the benefits that you're selling in the fourth quarter? What's the trend you expect?
Normally, licenses which we are selling are in the range of about 75 to 80% as of now. So I think that's what it continues. So this is where we also, and we have marked it on a mark-to-market basis to look at the current selling price rather than only the book value of that.
Sure, sir. So lastly, in terms of the capital expenditure, you mentioned that you tied up the spinning machinery, etc., with the vendors. Could you just elaborate the reason, sir? You're speaking very briefly. So what are the issues? Why are we delaying the tie-up with the vendors, sir?
Because they themselves are not very clear on the deliveries available, on the prices availability. So I think they also want to take a little more time before they can fix up with their vendors. So they have only asked us, maybe they'll take another 2-3 weeks to come back to us both on the delivery and the pricing front.
Okay, fine, sir. So lastly, on the logistics cost on the overseas, is that impacting margins in any form across the value chain, sir?
Not really. They are not impacting the margins, but yes, it's a pain point as of now for the customer as the delays are happening. Of course, cost is also increased in a big way, but at the same time, that's also passed on to the customers as of now, because it's all based upon the demand supply. The spinners are in a position to pass it on to the customers as of now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, and wish you all the best, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Resham Jain from DSP Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, sir. This is just a couple of bookkeeping questions. First is, what is the gross debt and the net debt we have as on the quarter end? Consolidated.
The gross debt consolidated would be in the range of 2,000 crores quarter end.
And net?
Net would be close to maybe 1,300 crores. 12 to 1,300 crores.
Okay. Sir, my second question. Sorry, are you saying anything?
No, please.
Okay, sorry. So, the second question is on the new capex which we are doing. Are we borrowing also for those new capexes, or are we using our internal accruals only for the new expansion?
Typically, our borrowing for any new project is 1:1 debt equity, and we hope to continue with that particular ratio. Obviously, it may change slightly depending on the ratio of machine cost to other expenses, but typically it will range between 50-55% debt and the rest is equity. And that's where we are.
So, just based on the typical cash flows and all, would you like, will there be, are you thinking about like a maximum level of cash or treasury you will be maintaining? Because with the current capex announced, let's say over the next 2 years, and the cash flows, possibly your treasury may surpass your previous averages over last 3-4 years. So, is there any strategic treasury division which the board and the management has taken?
There is no absolute value number that we have in mind, but we do have a benchmark that we follow internally to keep the kind of cash. Of course, there may be short-term deviations basis sudden inflow or sudden influx of cash that we have seen over the last 1.5 years. But we do not. We know that the amount of cash on our balance sheet will impact various ratios on our return on equity and return on net worth, and we will not, of course, we will make sure that cash does not exceed, become disproportionately high as compared to the rest of our gross block and other productive assets. But having a little cash or some cash on our balance sheet is hugely beneficial for us because it helps us it de-risks the volatile nature of the business model. So we intend to keep some, but obviously not take it to a level that it becomes counterproductive to our return ratios.
Understood. And lastly, one bookkeeping question. What is the total inventory value as on December end? Closing inventory?
Total inventory, you're talking about raw material or as a whole, it's close to 2,500 crores.
2,200 crores.
2,400 crores something.
Okay. Thanks, Akshay. Thank you, Neeraj sir. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. Akshay sir, please check your line. There's a disturbance coming from your line, sir.
Yeah. Okay now?
Yes, better. We'll take the next question from the line of Rishabh Shah from RS Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So in the notes to accounts, we have mentioned that there is some realization loss in each script. So can you just say, is it cash loss or some notional entry? If you can explain at this point.
No, it's a nominal loss. So we have done it on a mark-to-market basis.
So in the end, we realize full amount whenever that happens.
No, we may not. So it is based upon the today's quotation, whatever is sellable. So that's what we have done it to make it mark-to-market. But eventually, if we go by the today's market, that is what we are going to realize. So the remaining loss, we have already written it off.
So normally, how much % loss do we have to face in this?
Almost in the range of about 20 to 25%.
Acha, okay. And sir, this capex, what you were doing, so everything is demand driven, right? Well, going forward, whenever the capex happens, all the capacity will be absorbed over time.
We feel the same because there's a good demand. That's why we are looking at this project.
And this extra spinning capacity, is it towards value-added yarns or is it the existing counts what we are doing?
No, this would be for the existing counts what we are doing.
So the margins will be same only. So there will not be any major impact.
Should be.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Keshav Garg from CCIPL. Please go ahead.
Sir, wanted to understand that after the disruption and relating lockdown, COVID and supply chain, so there ought to be some restocking. So is the high demand which is leading to increase in yarn prices, are they related to that restocking or that restocking is already done and now this is steady state demand which is leading to increase in yarn prices?
I think as of now it's all related with the state demand only because the demand is good, especially in the western part of the world. So that is where this demand is coming for more and more garmenting. And that's where, in the domestic market also the demand is good. So the restocking is not happening now. It's more of a pure demand and supply for the consumption.
Sir, what I meant that, sir, I'm not talking only about the restocking of yarn, but also garments, since all the inventory in retail.
Yeah, that's what I'm also mentioning. So all the garmenting which is happening today is going for the ultimate consumption only.
Okay, sir. So that is very reassuring. And sir, also, sir, on the supply side now, sir, how much capacity in your estimate is stuck in bankruptcy proceedings, and with these higher spreads now that might soon come on stream?
You see, whatever is the number of plants which are stuck up in the insolvency process now, since the margins have been quite good in last 1.5 years. So whatever could have been restarted, they have restarted. And whatever could not be started till now, it's going to be very, very difficult to restart that. So I think as of now, India's capacity utilization, whatever we are doing, probably on the existing spindle, it seems to be the best case scenario today. I'm not likely to look at a more increase in the capacity utilization going forward with the existing spindles. Whatever new capacity comes in, that comes in.
And sir, finally, so sir, basically, sir, whatever, like you mentioned, whatever had to start has already started. So now the only thing that remains is that for new supply to come on stream. So how much time will it take? Like since you said that your vendors are also facing supply chain issues and anyway they are already booked. So in that case, how soon can the supply come? Significant supply come so that the spreads can again go back to normal levels?
The capacity, the disruption or the new business we are talking of is for the new plants which will be ordered today. But the existing plants which would have been ordered, let's say a year before or so, that capacity in our view in India, almost we are getting 150,000 to 200,000 spindles every month.
Sir, this is new capacity you are saying that every month 2 lakh spindles are being added in India?
Yes.
Okay, sir. So with this trend of a 2 lakh addition per month, sir, how soon do you think that supply will exceed or match demand?
There are two factors to this. One is that India has 2 million spindles. That's not really very big because at the same time the capacity utilization in China has been coming down in last many years. So China is still the biggest spinner in the world, and in case they shred some part of the spinning, probably then for the entire world the increase may not happen significantly. But because that's what is happening in last couple of years, China spinning capacity has been coming down only.
Sir, so despite these increase in spreads, still Chinese capacity is coming down?
It can come down because that's a different reason because 80% of the Chinese cotton comes from Xinjiang area, and all USA and Europe taking a view that they will not buy anything which is coming from the Xinjiang cotton. Probably I think on the cotton spinning sector it could be difficult for them to get raw material, and to that extent I think there could be a concerns and issues on their spinning capacity as far as 100% cotton is concerned.
So can't they just import cotton and make yarn and again export?
They can do that, but I think going by their wages or the overall cost, whether it will make them sense to go in for the basic operations like spinning, or they like to concentrate more on the value-added products.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Khetan from Laburnum Capital. Please go ahead. Amit Khetan, your line is in talk mode. Please go ahead with your question. Amit Khetan, please unmute your line from your side if muted.
Hi, am I audible?
Now you're audible, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Just one question from my side. What would be our realized spreads for the quarter? And could you give some sense of, I assume that some of the cotton that we used last quarter was from last year. How much would that be roughly? Half or one third?
We typically don't give out a spread of individual businesses. But it should be broadly maybe slightly better than the industry average. And as far as cotton is concerned that we were carrying over from last season, it can be in the range of maybe a third to a half.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parin Gala from Sage One Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, one of the questions was actually answered. Sir, going by the numbers of production and sales that you've given for the yarn, especially for sequential and year on year, is it safe to assume we are right now utilizing 100% capacity of the spindles?
Yes, we've been using 100% capacity of our spindles for quite some time now.
So, sir, in that case, your new 100,000 spindles only come in September. So, safe to assume that whatever growth is coming in yarn is only price-led instead of volume-led? Or
Yeah,
you can do some stock in trade also and trading volumes can go up?
on also. On the spinning side, whatever increase is happening, that's happening primarily on account of prices only. And on the fabric side, actually the volume growth has happened.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hiten Borucha from Sequent Invest. Please go ahead.
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah. So most of my questions has been answered already. I have just one question. You mentioned the spread number between cotton and yarn. So can you help us with this again with current quarter and for last quarter as well? What was it in Q2?
So current spreads are ranging around the $1.20 mark plus minus 5 cents. This is spot cotton to spot yarn prices. Last quarter also it would have been the average in the same ballpark, maybe 5 cents higher.
$1.20. Okay. And what was it in last year, sir? Q3 FY21?
Would be around $1.
Okay. That's all from my side, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shraddha Saragi Garg from India Ratings and Research. Please go ahead.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity and very good evening to everyone. I just wanted to understand that recently the Ministry of Commerce had launched negotiations for free trade agreements with UK, which is likely to boost exports for India. So is Vardhman also likely to benefit in terms of any boost that you're expecting in terms of your export dynamics to change after this FTA agreements with UK?
We are the textile material producer. So as such, UK will not be buying any fabric or any yarn from us, but UK will be buying more of a garment. So if India gets a preferential treatment or a better FTA with UK, that's going to get give advantage to our Indian garmenters. And if the Indian garmenters has an advantage and they'll be growing, definitely our materials will be going to them. So indirectly, we have a huge advantage, but directly Vardhman will not be exporting anything to them, hardly exporting anything to them.
Okay. And sir, in terms of numbers, like how much do you see the exports are likely to go up after this? In case you can give some sense on that.
Not possible for this to estimate, but definitely wherever the FTAs have happened, any preferential country which gets, I think it's a huge advantage which comes for the country. But to give it a number, it won't be possible that how much substitution will be in a position to do from Bangladesh to the other countries as far as the garmenting is concerned.
Right, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was all.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bajrang Bafna from Sunidhi Security and Finance. Please go ahead.
Yeah. My voice is audible?
Yes.
Yes.
So, sir, just, the spread that you talked about, $1.2, which you managed last quarter. So, in the last quarter, you were having some old stock also, which you mentioned about half. So, now you are working with, this cotton of close to, let's say, 75,000 rupees per candy, 4S6, which is the current season. So, would that be, safe to assume that this $1.2 is still manageable in the month of January, February and March, going by the current bookings and trends that you are seeing?
Whenever we talk of spreads, we always talk of spreads based upon the current cost of cotton and not what any spinning mill will be holding. So if a spinning mill has a older stock which is cheaper or expensive, their margins or their spreads will be readjusted accordingly. This spread is always calculated based upon the current prices of yarn and the current prices of cotton.
Okay. So in last quarter, since there was some old stock was existing, so, that is why I'm just trying to understand that what could be, our, the spreads in this quarter, considering that fact. Will that come down in terms of, due to this particular reason, since we are working with new cotton right now?
the season is just started, so the current spread is in the position of about 120 cents or so, depending upon how the yarn prices readjusted to this increase which has happened recently. That will depend upon the spread. So I've given you, because the cotton prices have increased much sharper, so I've given you the spread as of now, but I think it will get readjusted based upon the prices maybe next couple of weeks.
Okay. And sir, one more sense, which we are getting from the ground, research that, this time because of the higher cotton prices and the arrival of cotton is also, pretty less as compared to, last year when we got almost, 2 lakh, and till date, I think 140 lakh bales have only arrived in the market, which is far lower. So what sort of inventory that we built up, vis-a-vis historical levels, and what is your sense going ahead?
So I have answered this question earlier also. Normally, typically, we try to cover most of our cotton by the end of April, which is the end of season. But this time, since the prices are too high, we will have to redefine or relook at whether we should really go for the full season or we should reduce our inventory. So as of now, we haven't taken a final view on that, but I think next 1 to 2 months will determine that what kind of a cotton stocking policy we should have in this year. On a physical cotton, 2. In case we require to build up a physical cotton, how should we hedge it by selling on the New York future if we want to do that. 2. 3. Of course, the arrival as of now is less, but at the same time, it is also because the farmer is bringing the crop slowly. At the same time, the crop seems to be reasonable. So the season, which normally ends in the month of April, this year the market estimates can go up to June, July as well. So 3rd, 4th, since the prices in India are much higher, the export it looks like export won't happen more than maybe 3 million bales or so, which normally can happen up to 4.5 or 5 million bales. So to that extent, cotton will be available in India. So we'll have to take a view depending upon our commercial thoughts whether we should really carry everything on our balance sheet, or we should look at if the cotton is available in India, we can buy for maybe 1 or 2 or 3 months on a month-to-month basis rather than keeping it on our books. So we haven't taken any view on that, but yes, as the time passes, we'll take a final view on that.
Okay, and currently we are holding 2,400 crore of inventory. That is the right, if I heard it correct.
Yeah, that's the total inventory which includes our finished goods, etc., everything.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shreyansi Nagar from Ventura Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Nagar. Yep.
Yes, good evening, sir. You're mentioning that the demand is good recently, but with effect from 1st January 2022, all textile products are actually, including ready-made garments, are having to levy 12% of the GST. So don't you think that will affect the sales or the revenue of the textile products in the upcoming quarter?
No, that decision for increase in GST was withheld by the government, and we are under the same old regime as of now.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pulkit Singhal from Dalmus Capital Management. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, if you could just mention what are the current yarn and processed fabric prices that you are witnessing versus what has been booked in 3Q? What percentage higher is it right now?
So the current prices of 30 combed yarn on a China basis will be in the range of about $4.85 or so.
And how much have you booked in 3Q? I mean, I'm saying versus your realization in 3Q, where are prices standing now? How much higher is it?
Sir, we don't give out the prices of our individual products, but whenever we quote spreads or anything, we are talking about the market for a standard yarn product or a standard fabric product.
Right. And so that percentage increase, will it be similar to what you also, I mean, around that range that you might also do?
Sir, we are priced, of course, we are priced off the same standard products, but demand supply will come into play when it comes to value-added products. If the demand for the particular value-added is lower or on the higher side, the increase or decrease may be higher than or lower than normal. But by and large, it shows a tandem.
Right. So on the standard product itself, I mean, what percentage higher is the current yarn price versus what it was in the full quarter, is what I'm trying to understand.
So, just a disclaimer that this data is compiled through various sources and there is no official data on this. But for example, last December or the quarter 3 of last year, we were in the range of $3.20 to $3.30. And today we are around the $4.60, $4.70.
This is December 21?
Yeah, December 20 was $3.30 and December 21 can be the range of $4.60. This is 30 comb standard hoisting yarn.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of our capacity addition plans, if the incremental addition is at around 2 lakh spindles every month, and our addition is just 1 lakh coming in September, don't you think we are added at a much slower pace than what the industry is adding?
Considering that India has about 50-55 million spindles and Vardhman is 2% of the Indian industry, and we are still adding close to 5% of the Indian industry addition. So I think we are growing faster than the rest of the industry put together.
But there's no visibility on the 1,65,000, right? I mean, so 1 lakh we understand, but the 1,65,000 there's no.
1 lakh we will add this year, and we hope to add the balance 2 lakh around in the next in the 2 years after this one. So I think we will be adding approximately 1 lakh a year. So by that approximate calculation, I am computing.
Right. And so the revenues should flow in FY24 for the addition after this 1 lakh, or will it be FY25?
The full year impact will be felt in FY25. Partial might come in 2024 depending on delivery schedules.
Right, right. And whatever you're indicating on spreads seems to suggest a compression in terms of the absolute values. I mean, this $1.25, I understand it's based on current spot prices, but then you had low-cost inventory as well. So your 3Q numbers would have been much higher because of that low-cost inventory. And going ahead, that will compress. So does your absolute EBITDA come down as a result of that?
No, as Mr. Jain also explained that, low cost inventory is a relative term. If we bought cotton at in the beginning of the season at 60, 65 and today it is 75, then we already have low cost inventory for the next quarter as well. So it is difficult to extrapolate any trend and margin basis that. So we will have to see how it pans out. If cotton prices continue to scale higher like they have, the margins may sustain. But if they crash or they moderate considerably, we may be looking at a different picture. It's very difficult to forecast commodity prices and forecast margins based on that.
Right. Right. And last, your ability to pass on yarn prices. I mean, as you mentioned, cotton prices were suddenly higher, much higher than the increase in yarn. So how do you ascertain your own ability to pass on your yarn price increase in the next 2-3 weeks?
As of now, it is passed on fully. But going forward, I can't say. But as of now, I think to quite an extent, it's been passed on.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you. And all the best.
The next question is from the line of Biplab Debbarma from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. First is just wanted to understand whether I have understood what you said correctly. So whether I have understood correctly. So spinning sector is seeing heightened demand because there is Xinjiang issue, and as well as there is an increased captive consumption of yarn in Bangladesh and Vietnam. Am I correct, sir? Is that the reason why we are seeing this heightened demand for yarn?
Yes, those are two major reasons.
Okay. Okay. Now my questions are two questions. First of all, sir, just trying to understand what would be the capacity utilization currently in the country, any just rough number. And because why I'm asking is this, how is the opportunity in outsourcing the capacity? Instead of putting high capex, if there would be some players who won't have the kind of balance sheet that you have. So they may not be running, their capacity may not be fully utilized. So how's the when capacity utilization country-wise, and how's the opportunity in outsourcing the demand, the yarn demand?
So I mentioned earlier also, in our view, whatever capacity can be is workable, I think people are in a position to utilize that. Beyond that, the existing capacity may not be workable because the margins have been quite good in last 2 years. So if it is not come on stream till now, that means it's for sure it will not come on the stream even in the times to come on.
Okay, that's great. And my second question is on, you have mentioned that Bangladesh is one of the largest, we export largely to Bangladesh. But if Vardhman and country-wise, could you just give us some insight on country-wise, which country percentage-wise we export yarn and fabric? And so if you could give some distribution of this exports of yarn and fabric country-wise, that would be great, sir.
So as of now, I think the total yarn and fabric export which is happening from India, almost 25-30% would be going to Bangladesh, which is the biggest country as of now for the export of Indian products.
And the remaining countries would be Vietnam,
Bangladesh, China, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Central America, Latin America. These would be the other major countries.
By Vardhman or by country-wise? I am aware by Vardhman.
I'm talking about the India's exports.
Okay. Just wanted to understand what would be the Vardhman distribution.
We will also be in line with the trends from India.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Resham Jain from DSP Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for this opportunity. Just one observation from the market participants. Given the current cotton prices and all, it seems that possibly in the upcoming season, which will start from May, June, we may see significantly higher acreages of cotton. And typically, by the fag end of the season, we typically see an increase in cotton prices. But this year, do you think that given that with an expectation of higher acreage and stuff like that, actually prices may fall from the current levels?
Yes, there can be this scenario. We can't rule out. Actually, the intention would start coming in somewhere in the month of March, April, and the actual acreage we will be knowing by May, June that this is the increase which is happening on the acreage side, which should be good considering the kind of prices we are looking at both in USA and in India. So there could be, we can't rule out this possibility that people may try to hold less inventory in anticipation of a very good crop coming in the next year, and the prices actually starts going down from August, September. There could be a possibility of this as well.
Okay. Got it, sir. Thank you. So, just one additional thing on this is, typically, when do you think market will start reacting based on your last many years of experience with this increase in acreage? When do you think will people react in July, August kind of scenario when they will get more clarity, or it can happen before that itself?
No, normally the intention, especially in USA, starts coming towards the, I think in the month of April, etc. So that's the time where people will start looking at that the intentions, but at the same time, the physical availability or the physical challenges could be there, and that's why the prices are much higher because cotton is not in a position to, or the commodities are not in a position to move freely because of supply chain issues as well. So the local demand or the immediate demand could be one, the intentions could be two. And going by the intentions, I think by April, those intentions start coming into the system.
Okay. Got it, sir. This is very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Parin Gala from Sage One Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the follow-up. So a very basic question. Typically, what is the life cycle of a particular spindle? I mean, after install, when do you need to replace it?
Normally 15 to 20 years is a comfortable life.
Okay. So, sir, in your opinion, when India is adding about 1.5 to 2 lakh spindles every month, what would be your approximate estimate, sir? How much goes into replacement of old spindles and how many new comes? So just gauging the sense, not everything would be new capacity.
My belief is that the total supply in India will be close to about 2,50,000 spindles. And out of that, about 500 to 700,000 will be going for replacement. That's why we are talking of the net expansion of 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh spindles per month.
Okay. Got it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Gunjan Kabra from Nivashai. Please go ahead.
So thank you for the opportunity. So one question which I had is that with such high expansions happening in the spinning sector, like from the small spinners as well as the existing spinners are expanding at a rapid scale, and the expansions would come up online in next 2 to 3 years. So can you share, what is driving such high expansion? Like, will we not have any oversupply kind of a situation after 3 years, or is it just spreads which are driving high capacity expansion, or the sector tailwind that we are seeing currently in last 8 quarters that this is going to be a structural change? Like, what is the percentage that is the thought process of this?
So as of now, the biggest thought process is coming from the Xinjiang cotton issue, where since the USA or the Europe will not be buying material from that side, that means that opportunity will be available to the other parts of the world. So the only change in the basic thought process is coming from there, and that's where everyone feels if the China leaves that segment even partially, that's going to be a huge pie for the remaining part of the Asian countries to take even a part of that.
Okay. So that's the major idea behind, right? I mean, that's the purpose. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bajrang Bafna from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the follow-up question. Sir, we are going to put up new capacity of, if I heard it right, 3 lakh spindles. So by when we can expect this to come on stream?
As we said, 1 lakh spindles we expect to come online completely by this September, which is September 2022. And on the balance 2 lakh, we have less clarity, but we expect it in sometime in 2024, depending on the delivery schedule.
Okay. And sir, in the new PLI scheme, which is being, circulated by the government right now, which is purely for man-made fiber and technical textiles, are you seeing some, investment in that category also? Because currently, I think we are more or less concentrated on this side, cotton and all. So are we thinking to do some capex on that side where the return on capital employed is expected to be better?
At the moment, we have no plans of expanding into the man-made fiber or the technical textile side. We continue to monitor opportunity, but at the moment, no decisions have been reached.
Okay. And what is your thought process, sir, in terms of, this PLI and all? How do you see that, whether it will definitely create some bigger infrastructure for the country in terms of Mitra parks and all? What is your, sense on the overall sector from that perspective?
It should make sense, both Mitra and PLI. The only thing is how do people go for the technical textile? As the countries develop, as the per capita income improves, the scope of technical textile definitely improves in every country which is growing. So India, from that perspective, today the consumptions are minuscule, and if we are in a position to grow continuously for next 10 years, 15 years, I'm sure there will be huge demand for the technical textile. But as of now, the demand is too less. But at the same time, these are the areas where, with the growth, these consumptions increases. So I'm sure there could be a possibility for a country to grow better in these segments as well.
And so just one humble request, from, you could say from my side or maybe from the analyst community side. So to my mind, for the first time maybe in last 20 years of my career, I'm seeing, this kind of structural change that is happening, in Indian textiles, where the government has come up with so many soaps and, the situation is completely changing from China perspective also. So, we are seeing the huge re-rating which is happening for the sector, but somehow, Vardhman is not able to keep pace with the, this re-rating is still on the historical numbers. We are trading at 6 times EV by EBITDA multiple, whereas, your closest competitor KPR is moving towards, almost 25x PE on 3 years forward earnings, and we are just at 10x. And this is precisely, I just want to highlight that if you could give us more clarity in terms of, where our ROEs are going to be and in which segment we are going to move up in terms of vertical integration. And I think some clarity on that emerges. I think we are also headed for that kind of re-rating, which is still, not happening for us. So it is just a humble submission, and you could consider it as a suggestion from my side. So if we could do something on this vertical integration side to take advantage of complete value chain, will be really, helpful for analyst community to, give this kind of re-rating to you also. Because, sir, you are the second player to whom we can look at, when the government is talking about making global champions in our country. So it's just a humble submission, and we'll be happy to hear, some future statements. May not be in this call, but maybe going ahead in a couple of other calls. If you guide us in that sense, will be really helpful, sir.
Sure, we'll definitely put up to the management. Thank you for your suggestion.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parin Gala from Sage One Investments. Please go ahead.
Thank you once again. Sir, very honestly, just in your opinion, this Xinjiang ban which has happened on cotton, sir, how powerful it is to be implemented? I mean, how is it not easy for garment or anybody procure some, and there is a middleman in between from some other region, and then he supplies to the actual guys where the foreign players buy from them? You think that this is actually getting enforced in the true spirit?
It will, to quite some extent, for a simple reason, because the Chinese cotton, whatever they produce, 80% comes from that area only. Had it been a 20-30%, then your question would have been more valid, that how they are going to monitor it. Since the biggest cotton hub is Xinjiang only, so it's going to be very difficult for the Chinese garmenters or the fabric manufacturers to really, manipulate on that. Some manipulation may still happen, but I think there's the kind of penalties or the kind of stringency which the US or the Europe will be putting in. It's definitely a bigger concern for all the big exporters from China, and whether they really like to go in for that or not. So to my mind, I think this fear is definitely there in the mind of good exporters from China as of now.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure to have all of you on the call. And from the management side, we've always been saying whatever are the opportunities or the best options available to us, we are looking at that. Business is becoming more and more dynamic, and within that, I think there are lots of opportunities also, lots of issues and concerns also. So we are very, very vigilant on all the opportunities and concerns, and definitely try to do the best which is best suitable for the company in the given situation. And I'm sure the numbers have been quite good, and we'll try to look at what more or what best could be done in the near future as well as the medium term as well. The cotton prices are, yes, definitely one of the big concerns, but at the same time, since the yarn prices are also supporting as of now, so it's taking a lead. But going forward, one challenge would be what happens towards the end of the next season, and how do we mitigate that risk, which we are looking at it very cautiously. So thank you very much for all of you to show interest in us, to continue to invest in us, and I'm sure going forward we'll definitely be in a position to come up to we'll be in a position to maintain the expectation which all of you have from us. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Batliwala and Karani Securities India Private Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.